Hello. So today I would like to share how I plan, and a bit of history of how I learned how to plan and set goals. Maybe this might be helpful to one or two out there who might be struggling with setting goals and plans. So, a bit of history. When I got into medical school, I was warned, I was told this place is highly competitive, which it was, highly competitive. You fail, you go home. So I was told in this place, you have to focus only on school. Just study. Anything else outside medicine will get you excluded and you have to go home. So I did just that. For 7 years, year after year, I only had one goal: graduate, finish medical school, become a doctor. Everything else outside medicine was a distraction. Everything else outside, reading outside medicine was a waste of time for me. So I just focused: become a doctor, become a doctor, become a doctor. And fast forward 7 years later, I was graduating as a doctor, and I did pretty well. I should say in the top 1% of the class. I got several awards. Almost every award that UNZA has to offer for medical doctors. Which was pretty good. I get into internship. I was a pretty good doctor. I knew medicine very, very well. I was working hard. I could read and keep updated, and it was brilliant on the medical side. But ask me about anything else other than medicine, I had no idea. I had no idea how to make goals. I had no idea how to start a business. I was, zilch, nothing. But as a doctor, I was doing pretty well, you see. So it was only a couple of months into internship that, after talking to some friends, seeing how my friends were doing, I got interested in reading a little bit about philosophy, reading a little bit about personal development, and I started learning slowly after internship. Yeah. But, fast forward 8 years down the line, I'm having a conversation not so long ago with a friend of mine saying, so he comes to me and says, look, Gerald, we've been together in neurosurgery for a bit over 5 years now, right? And in this 5 years, you married. In this 5 years, you've been fit, going to the gym. In this 5 years, you've been reading. You're well read. I always see you reading different books every now and then. You've published almost over 40 papers. You've presented in different conferences. You run some businesses here and there, but I haven't done anything. All I have to offer, all I have to, you know, uh, all I have is just this neurosurgery degree that I'm getting, and I haven't done anything else during this time. But that is the same 5 years that both of us have lived, and we've done totally different things. Okay, so this is the conversation that I had with one of my colleagues, and today I'm going to share with you some of the the ways that um, have been quite helpful in making goals, so that you try to cover different areas of your life. So one of the worst advice you can ever get, in my opinion, when it comes to goal setting, is when someone says, "This year, just focus on this, forget everything else, and just focus on doing this one thing," right? Or don't do anything else until you achieve this particular goal. Then you can move on to the next item. That, in my opinion, is one of the worst things you can ever do to yourself. Because for the sake of our discussion today, time is linear, right? Which means it's on a straight line. So if, for example, I tell myself today and say, I'll only start a family, right, when I become a professor, right? People become professors usually north of 40, 45. Others even in 50s. So let's say I become a professor at 40 or 45 years old, right? I haven't done anything else. I haven't started a family then, right? But I want a family. At 45, I will not have the energy of a 30-year-old. At 45, I will not have the fertility of a 40 of a 30-year-old. I mean, right? Even my partner options at 40, 45 will be much more limited. You see, so time continues moving, regardless of what you choose, time continues moving. Your body and the conditions and time will not wait for you to finish one thing and then start another, right? So, in my opinion, the best way to set goals is to set holistic goals, which means you should set goals that touch almost every aspect of your life so that as you move together, right? You move as a whole. When you're developing spiritually, you are developing personally, right? As you are developing personally, you're also developing interpersonally, which means that how you relate to others is also getting better with time, right? So at the beginning of the year, um, in here in Russia, we have 10 days holiday from the 1st to the 10th. So I usually use this time to write down a couple of goals. So I usually divide them into personal goals. So when I say personal goals, I look at what is the one thing that, or maybe not one thing, the few things I want to do for myself, just for me, during this year, right? And I write them down, right? And then I also write down my family goals. Okay, so family goals can be, I mean, if you are married and you have children, so your immediate family is your wife and child, right? So you want to make plans for them as well. I mean, do you want to spend more time with them? You need to write it down. Do you want to celebrate more holidays with them, right? Do you want to have dinners with your wife? You need to write it down. If you want to have dinner once a month, once every 2 weeks, you want to have takeout night, you need to write it down so at least you will know at the end of the year how you've performed. That is your primary family. And then your other family, your parents, your siblings, do you want to improve your relationship with your siblings? Do you want to call them once a week or once a month? Do you want to send them a bit more money than you usually do? Write it down. Those are your family goals, right? And then your work goals. If you're a student, your school goals, right? Do you want to study more? If you've been studying for 4 hours, do you want to study for 6 hours, right? If you are slacking a little bit at work, do you want to work a bit harder? So you need to write some goals towards your work or school if you're a student, so that even that area of your life is growing together with everything else. Okay, so your personal development goals. So I write down, for example, how many books I want to read. For example, last year, I planned to read 6 books. I read up to 9 books, which was pretty good. This year, I still want to read 6 books, but if I read more, that's fine. So that is for personal development. You can read different books. Books about entrepreneurship if you want. Books about philosophy, psychology, different things that will help you develop yourself personally. That's personal development. Is also a very, very important aspect of your goals. It should be there. Things like entrepreneurial. If you have interest in entrepreneurship, you can either try a new business if you're already established, or you can plan, start planning to start a business. You don't have to start one every year, but you can plan for a time when you're going to be ready to start one. So you can talk to someone who has, you can plan to talk to someone who has a business. You can read around starting up a business, and you need to write that on your goals to say, by June, for example, I should have talked to so and so person about business, and by September, by December, I should be trying this and this business. Okay, so that is on your entrepreneurship aspect of your life, if you're interested in entrepreneurship. So spiritual goals are also very important. Depending on what you believe, if you want to become a stronger believer, for example, if you want to pray more, you want to go to church, you want to go to the mosque a bit more, you want to meditate a bit more, you need to write it down. You are praying once a week, you want to pray 3 times a week, write it down. This year I want to pray 3 times a week. So that is important as well, to take note of your spiritual goals, right? Your friendship goals. Okay, we all have friends, right? So do you want to strengthen your interpersonal relationships? Do you want to call them your friends a bit more? Do you want to spend a bit more time with your friends, or do you want to spend a bit less time with your friends? That is entirely up to you, but you need to write it down. You see, so that is very, very important. If you have any talents or any other skills that you have, you can write it down. I want to play football a bit more. If you plan on becoming fit, okay, because your body is also very, very important. Okay, so your health goals are very, very important. So if you want to start going to the gym, you need to write it down. I want to go to the gym 3 times a week. Okay, if you want to play football or go jogging or skip a bit more, you want to go on a diet, you need to write it down. Okay, so when you make these goals, okay, these are I like to refer to them as holistic goals, which means that these are goals that affect almost every aspect of your life, so that by the end of the year, when you sit down to see how much you've accomplished, you won't just be looking at the one thing, how much money did I make? Because nowadays everyone makes the same goals. I want to make money. I want to make $1 million. But you're making $1 million. At the end of the year, you are not fit. At the end of the year, you have non-communicable diseases. At the end of the year, you have no friends. You have no family. Your wife hates you. Your parents don't like you. It doesn't make sense to me, right? So make holistic goals. Grow as a whole person. Don't just grow in one area and forgetting about other things. So this, in a nutshell, is how I set my plans and my goals at the beginning of the year, and this has worked for me pretty well. Okay, so try it. It's a very good way to optimize your goal setting.